Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Edwin back for Strictly Comics. Thank you very much for joining in, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do my very first movie review. As you guys know, if you've been watching me recently, I've been saying how I really wanted to kind of expand on my channel a little bit. And it's kind of a contradiction because my channel is called Strictly Comics, but here I am doing a movie review. You know, like I said, I want to do this. I'm really excited to do this, my very first one, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm going to be doing my very first movie review on Pacific Rim. And I must say, it was a pretty good movie. In a nutshell, I'll tell you guys what the movie is actually about. I'm not going to give any spoilers, and I'm not going to ruin it for anybody that wants to go out there and see it, especially seeing as how I think this is the opening weekend that when it came out. It was a really good movie. The story in a nutshell, there's some kind of portal that opened up, but it didn't come from space. The portal actually came from under the water, under the oceans, and the Pacific Ocean, to be specific. It kind of opened up this portal that had to do with like aliens and monsters having a doorway into Earth. And what happened is that I guess it was like they're aliens or underwater creatures that biologically engineer. No, actually what it is from the story is that they clone these monsters. And it's crazy because this is where the story actually got kind of good. When you think about monsters, you know, you might think about Godzilla, you might think about King Kong. The monsters, they would unleash one monster at a time. That's how it started out. The humans would come. The very first monster, I think they said it took like 36 days or something like that. No, like 3 days or something like that to defeat the monster with the basic military weapons that we have today with jets and tanks and stuff like that. And then not even 6 months later in the movie, according to the movie, there was another monster release. What happens is that these monsters are being released with a shorter and shorter time span. So they might be released like every 6 months, then it'll go to like, you know, every couple months, then every few weeks. And it got down to the point to where they were like, monsters were coming like every week to 2 weeks. And not only that, but the monsters, they would adapt. Each time a new monster would come out, they would adapt to what humans had already their strategies of what they have done to defeat the monsters. The new monsters would always come out. They would always adapt to the way that the humans beat them the first time. And it got to the point to where only one was coming out at a time. Well, as the movie progresses, more start to come out instead of just one at a time. And each one of those are, you know, more adapted, more intelligent, more advanced than the previous ones. That, to me, is what really made the story interesting. Otherwise, it would have been just kind of like your typical monster shows up, you know, tries to destroy the city, and people beat it. So this is what kind of made it unique in a sense. After the fourth monster, that's when people started to realize that we need to start doing something different. We need to start coming up with more advanced ways of defeating these monsters. And I like how all the governments of the world come together to saving humanity, basically. They were able to put away all their differences, you know, all their hatred, all their, you know, religious views, and just come together and organize these high-tech weapons, which are these robots, to specifically defeat these monsters. Some cool things about the movie is that there isn't just like one kind of robot. They actually make like 3, 4, or 5 different robots. You don't really see each robot in detail and everything that it can do, but you see some pretty basic things with about 3 or 4 robots, which I thought was really, really cool. Another good thing is that you actually get backstories for the major characters. So you don't just have one character, one hero that does everything and saves the day. You get backstories with a lot of the major characters. There's probably maybe 3 or 4 major characters, and then you have like your B-list characters a little bit. You get a little bit of backstory with them as well. So that I thought was good for the movie. You also have some diversity, which I think is good. A few other good things is that the opening was really good. I really liked how the movie opened. As a matter of fact, the way that it opened, and then once they showed the title of the movie, I actually forgot about that part because I was already kind of sucked into the movie from the beginning. And then all of a sudden you see, Pacific Rim, and that was really cool. So the opening was really good. Visually, this movie is awesome visually. And because of that, I would have to say that it might not do it justice to consider this a rental because of the visual effects. I would have not wanted to be on the team that had to develop this movie, the animation, the graphics, the editing. Holy crap. A lot of you guys complain about Superman and how there was a lot of, people dying in those buildings and stuff like that. They didn't really show all the people dying in the buildings, but there was a lot of structural damage to these buildings, a lot of buildings just coming down with all the fights. So it was very, very detailed. The animation was awesome, and I really, really love it. It was visually just stunning. The fight scenes, as I say, were really, really cool, especially with the robots and the monsters. It was really, really sweet. I really liked that a lot. Even the monsters, they weren't like your typical just dumb monsters because they adapted. But even a lot of their biological weapons were really, really cool, especially as they adapted and as they progressed throughout the story of the film. Also, the bad part about the film is that it was a little bit too long. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 2 hours and 11 minutes long. And, probably that last 11, 15 minutes has to do with credits. So it was kind of a long film, but I saw where it was necessary because I felt like they didn't want to do just a action film, although that's probably about I'd probably say at least a third to half of the film at least was action, which was good. But I thought that it was necessary to make the film kind of long because you had to develop these characters. You had to kind of show their story a little bit to kind of create an attempt to create kind of an emotional attachment, I guess, to the characters. It's just, Hollywood strategy to get you to interact more with the film. Here's the bad part about the film. Not going to say what happens at the ending, but it's a lot like Independence Day. I'm just going to say that. Because once the ending came into play, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I've seen this before. So I'm just going to stop right there. You do have your typical sacrificial characters when you deal with these end-time apocalyptic, monsters, aliens taking over the world type of situation. You do have these typical sacrificial characters. There's always somebody that has to die for humanity and die to save the world. And also at the end of the film, you might want to stay a little bit for the opening credits. Probably stay maybe a good minute or two after the credits start to come at the end of the film, because there is like a little bit of a short funny that has to do with the film after the credits. All that being said, you guys, I have to say that I give the film a solid, strong 3.5. I was really close to giving it a 4 or a 4.5 until I saw the predictability in the film and until I saw the ending being the same of other films. It was really good. It's definitely worth seeing in theaters, and I definitely recommend it. It's a strong 3.5. Go see it. I think that you'll like it, especially if you're like really into robots and you're really into that type of stuff. As a matter of fact, I would probably recommend it on IMAX. If you guys can check it out on IMAX. And it would probably be pretty cool on Blu-ray. I mean, not Blu-ray, 3D, sorry. But I think probably IMAX would probably be the best way to see it. And of course, don't sit way up front. But that's my review on Pacific Rim. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, favorite. And as always, you guys, keep God first in your life. Enjoy your movies. And God bless you guys. I'm out of here.